Hi, welcome to Talk About here on Shaw TV North Island. Thanks for tuning in. As always, it's an interesting show, and we've got Brenda Leigh from Area D with us today. Brenda, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for inviting me, Shaw and John. Thank you.
Well, we've got a bit of news. Page 1 of the Mirror today, as we're taping, report outlining septic failures surfaces. And this is, of course, about the city's bid to annex part of Area D, your part of the Strathcona Regional District. And of course, this is a report from 2009, and they're making big hay out of it. But in the story, towards the end, you say it doesn't tell the whole story. What is the whole story?
Well, as far as that report goes, it's outdated. 5 years ago, maybe they found some places with some fecal coliform in the ditch. But most of those sites, of the 20, there was only 2 or 3 that were in the voting area. So most of them were in other parts of Area D that were way, way outside the voting area, for one thing.
I don't think that comes out in the story.
No, it doesn't, and I did let the reporter know that. And so that's one issue I had with it. And the other issue is that when they test test a water sample in a ditch and they find fecal, unless they do a DNA test on it, or unless they run dye tests through your septic out to the ditches, they have no way of proving that that is from septic. And there's lots of dog walkers in our area, and lots of deer and raccoons and animals that run through the ditches. So it's a very
is this a red herring?
Plus it is a red herring, and plus, you know, they say it affected the water quality in the ditch. Well, we have piped treated water, and nobody's drinking water out of ditches. So, you know, it's not an issue. It's the only thing I think that Campbell River can come up with to try and persuade people to vote for this, to up their taxes and go into the city. So that's the only thing they've got.
Yeah. We should have probably started with not page 1, but okay, we have a referendum coming, we think, on June 28th. The cabinet minister today, as we're taping, is probably passing a cabinet order to make it happen. And if it doesn't, well, it'll probably happen later. But what is the mechanics now? And also the city, residents of the city of Campbell River can vote too, but it's a different thing. Can you give us the mechanics?
Yes, there will likely, as soon as the minister makes the order today, later today, there will be a vote, a referendum at the Ocean Grove School on June 28th. There will be a couple opportunities within a fortnight before that vote of advanced polling opportunities. There won't be mail-in ballots because there's not enough time. But there will be a vote, and this thing will get settled once and for all. And I think Northern Area D is ready to vote on this. I think they've heard enough. I think they're ready to vote.
This issue has been around for what, 5 years? No, the annexation issue, the sewer issue has been about 5 years.
Well, Area D did a liquid waste management plan in 2006, and we proposed to install a community sewer collection system. And it passed, the referendum for that passed in 2006 by 51%. And I did go out, because that is a majority, and I went out and got $3.4 million in grants and proceeded with the project and the project planning. We had a couple engineering companies work on the plan, and then we asked Campbell River if we could hook up to their pipe. And they stonewalled our plan for 3 years and did nothing about it. And then they came back and said, yeah, we'll let you hook up to our pipe for about $22.5 grand per lot, and my residents, that was during the election of 2011, and I went door knocking all through the sewer service area, and the residents were saying, no way, I mean, we could get a package system for less than that. Don't deal with them on that, because that's too much. So now they've come back and said, oh yes, now we're going to supply you for the northern end, the northern end with $9,300 per hookup per property for the distribution system, plus an $1,800 hookup fee. Well, those were the same numbers that I had in 2006.
So,
So that's assuming costs didn't go up in the
Yeah.
past 8 years.
yeah.
So any fool can work that out.
So
That's not what's going to happen in the long run.
yeah, I just want to clarify that the people voting in this referendum on the 28th will be the residents of the affected area, the northern part of Area D only. But also the residents of Campbell River get a vote through the AAP process, which is the
Alternate approval process.
So that if the taxpayers of Campbell River, who are going to be paying to subsidize this proposal, if it was accepted, also get a vote, but to vote against it, 10% of the citizens have to go probably to City Hall or somewhere else and say, no, we oppose this thing. But the residents of the affected area will get kind of like a normal referendum.
No, they don't get a referendum. They get to petition against spending their millions of dollars on Area D.
Well, they express that in a
And they have to go to they'll have to go to City Hall and get a petition form and fill it in and hand it in.
No.
There's
That's the city. If you're a
that's
resident
the
of the
city process.
Yeah, the city process is you got to go and say no. But the Area D northern
is a
part
referendum.
is
yeah.
a referendum.
Is a vote.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, a paper
So,
ballot.
we've got lots of other things to talk about, but I want to finish this off. Do you think the city has been fair in the way it's presented the facts of this?
No.
No. And what areas have they misrepresented? I guess that's a fair word.
Well, here's what they've done wrong so far, in my opinion. They promised consultation with people in Area D, and they held a meeting on February 27th, and that was the only public input session they had. And they sent their $75,000 consultant in from Victoria to field questions from Area D people, and Area D, not a single elected member of Campbell River Council showed up at that meeting. Not a single member of Campbell River staff showed up at that meeting. That people left from Area D angry and with their questions unanswered. And when I went to see the minister on May 13th, I pointed that out. I said, we have not been properly consulted. People have not got the information that they need to make an informed decision, and they need to do more. Yes. And this is Campbell River's process. This is, I want to make it clear to your viewers, this is not something that I initiated or that I even want, but now it's gotten to the point where it's an annoyance and a distraction. I have so many other things listed on my little pink slips here that I'd rather talk about, and that I have been working on. I've been juggling a lot of other issues.
Okay.
And so this isn't the only issue going.
Yeah, I just want to, we'll end this segment with this. This is, Mayor says boundary extension is a bad deal. That's from April 30th in the Mirror. And, sorry, even the Mayor of Campbell River says the proposal is bad for the citizens. Sorry, there it goes. Oh, okay, we'll give it up. Okay, so the referendum is the 28th, and it's probably going to be defeated, and life will go on. And meanwhile, the Strathcona Regional District is actually in pretty good shape. Another story out of the Mirror today, SRD to be debt-free in just over 10 years. The Strathcona Regional District, which is, only 6 years old. It used to be the Comox-Strathcona Regional District, and they divided. Mm-hmm. So the finances have come in, and the SRD is extremely well managed financially and probably in other ways. Can you give us your perspective on, where is SRD at now?
I'm just looking for my little sticky note
You're
on finances.
not allowed to use notes.
Well, we just went through our audit process, and the auditors came back and said Strathcona has a completely clean audit. Everything is on the up and up with their audit. They gave us an idea of how we're doing compared to other communities, and we're doing very well. Our debt to revenue ratios are really good. We have very little debt. The debt that we have is retiring within 5 years. It's very small. I mean, considering our budgets and our 43 services, we've got only about $350,000 of debt.
Yeah.
And that is not Area D. That is, you know, a little bit of it's 20% of the ice arena upgrade that we did last year, and that Area D is paying a little bit, but maybe 50,000 of that is debt that Area D pays back.
Yeah.
But basically, we're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
We did in the Oyster Bay, Oyster River area, we are undertaking some improvements to the water system and to the fire department, and those do involve a tiny amount of debt. Like, we just purchased a new fire truck, and that was partially financed from reserves and partially from loan. So, but
Yeah.
it's really manageable.
I gather SRD managers had the foresight to buy American dollars before the dollar went in the tank?
Yeah, that was another story.
So how much did that save?
Well, a lot, I think,
Yeah.
because Campbell River bought a fire truck the same time we did from the same company.
I've got the clipping.
And
here.
Area D paid under $450,000 for our fire truck, and we have all the bells and whistles on it. So, fabulous piece of equipment. The fire department are over the moon about it.
Yeah.
And Campbell River bought the same. They didn't buy the same fire truck. They bought a fire truck from the same company, and because the Canadian dollar has been dropping against the American dollar, and they hadn't bought American dollars in advance of their purchase, they ended up paying a lot more.
Yeah.
And I think their fire truck cost them $1.2 million, $1.25 million compared to our $450,000.
The city truck probably has a ladder on it, which Area D's doesn't, but I'm not sure of that either. However, it's a bit of an apples and oranges, but nonetheless, that's a good example. SRD anticipated, planned, and saved money.
That was actually the CBRD, because
Oh,
Black
okay.
Creek Oyster Bay is administered by the Comox Valley Regional District,
right.
and I sit on that board too.
Yeah, that's one of
I
the
can tell you about
anomalies.
all the boards that but they're very good financial managers down there too.
Now, a minute ago you mentioned some of the things that the SRD does, 43 services, and that includes the arena and the composting center, I think, is that right? What are some of the things that SRD does that Campbell River might assume is, oh, that's just a city service?
The SRD does supplies parks to our area residents. They do planning, land use planning, transit, street lights. We supply hospitals, animal control, emergency services, emergency planning, fire, water.
Yeah. Do you grant to the Tide Mark, for example?
I have every year given grants to the Tide Mark Theatre and many others, and those are under grants and aid that we supply. Area D has $55,000 this year available in grants, and usually there's about 30 groups that'll apply for that, and all they have to be is a nonprofit which is struggling, which can show financial proof that they need the money for the benefit of the community as a whole, and they can apply for grants. I'm taking my grants. I always take my grants up to the end of June. The grant applications, people can just write to me on behalf of their organization and give me the information about what they need and how much they need and what they need it for. And what their finances are for their organization, and I will take applications till the end of June, which will go to the board in July and be paid out after August 1st.
Okay. One of the headlines I have here, Crime Stoppers is lacking funding from regional district. What's the status on that file?
I don't know, they haven't applied to me yet.
Yeah, okay. Now, libraries, that's one of your favorite issues, I understand. Tell us about libraries.
I have been working hard. That's one of the other areas I'm working hard on. Is I'm vice chair of the Vancouver Island Library System, and we have just opened a half a dozen new libraries on Vancouver Island and in the Charlottes or Haida Gwaii, and really? We have new libraries at Ucluelet, Quadra, Cortez or Strathcona's area. Lake Couch and Gabriola, Cumberland, where we're working on upgrades in Tassus, and we've also got a brand new branch opening in North Nanaimo on July 12th.
Wow.
And that's a beautiful new library that's been, we've used our central services, warehouses and offices, and converted or rebuilt on that site to a brand new library for North Nanaimo. We've bought the Harbourfront branch in downtown Nanaimo. The library system owns that, and also owns the Czech TV station next door, the building that they're in. So we get some revenue from that.
Well,
And we actually saved, get this, for financial management. We save $1 million a year from purchasing it rather than paying lease payments.
wow. Now you mentioned something about awards. Some of the libraries won awards?
We got 3 design awards from the Vancouver Island Real Estate Foundation, and for our design work on the Lake Cowichan and the Cumberland branches.
Awesome.
And when we open North Nanaimo, we're going to be getting awards for that, I know, because it's going to be, it is beautiful.
Are these energy efficient type buildings
yes,
too?
Yeah. And they're absolutely community spaces that are inviting and comfortable and supply the community with places to meet and discuss issues. For programming, we have standards now for when we establish a library. We have standards for how much space we need for that population catchment area. And so we make sure we have room for computer terminals, for meeting spaces and programming, and the books. And one of the really exciting things about libraries now is we have a virtual library branch, and it's called Bibliothèque, and it's our e-library.
Bibliothèque in French is a library.
Yes.
But you probably spelling it T-E-C-H?
Yes.
Oh, what a funny
And
pun.
we have an electronic library where anyone can borrow books on our electronic library. You can also sign up for language courses. We have a program called Mango where you can learn about 163 different languages. We have free music downloads on Freegal, it's called. We have free movies and all kinds of things on our electronic sites. And we launched the electronic library because even though we love to have these beautiful libraries in the highly populated areas where we need them, there are remote areas that need access to the libraries that are in our system.
Yeah.
And by having an e-library, people can access the library without actually taking out the hard copy.
Yeah. So the Campbell River Library, which probably is better known, the library at Campbell River maybe, but that's a funding by the Vancouver Island Library?
Yes.
So it's not a city library, it's a library located here.
Every library on Vancouver Island and in the Queen Charlotte's and in Powell River, Texada, Powell River Regional District has Texada, are served by our system. It's the 4th largest library system in Canada.
Wow.
It is very big, it's very efficient. It's really exciting to be on the library board because we have, well, the top librarian from Ontario we hired as our CAO. She is a dynamo. I love working with her. She's just a dynamo. And
but the online
really
research,
great.
I think, like I've been doing inadvertently a series of social media shows here, and we've got some more coming. But the ability to go online and research things now, for people that come in off the street, they need some help. They may not be computer literate, they may not have a computer at home, but you can get help at the library.
Yes, and we have really great programs for young people. We have a summer reading program for the kids, and we even have story time for adults and all kinds of programs for people. We have literacy programs that we support for new immigrants and people trying to learn English. So the library is an exciting place these days.
It's a good news thing. Sometimes government does do good things. Now, similarly, waste disposal and MMBC. Now, the city of Campbell River has signed up with MMBC, mixed material, multi-material recycling, I think they call it, but Strathcona District did not.
Yes, Strathcona District, we have a program called Mixed Material Recycling. It's a program that we support for new immigrants and people trying to learn English. So the library is an exciting place these days. Sometimes government does do good things. Now, similarly, waste disposal and MMBC. Now, the city of Campbell River has signed up with MMBC, mixed material recycling, I think they call it, but
Is that right?
Well,
Or is it going to still maybe? Or
Jim Abram and I have still got our recycling bins that our communities are using. At Area D uses the recycling bins at the Oyster River store. But and Jim Abram on Quadra has recycling bins near the new library there.
And Jim is the chair of the Strathcona Regional District right now.
But all the cities and municipal areas of the Comox Strathcona Waste Management Board, because there we're combined back into the big board again.
Oh yeah.
They've signed contracts with MMBC to pick up their recycling and process it.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, Area D is still a bit of an anomaly because we have private contractors that do our hauling in Area D. We don't have a government service for hauling, and therefore, you know, the MMBC has a rougher time controlling our waste stream. And so we haven't signed any contract with MMBC yet for Area D.
Now, you know, we call it waste, but nowadays the waste has value. And then more recently, Gordon Campbell, I think primarily, is forcing people to, in a way, sell their waste to people that can make value out of it. Yeah.
I haven't been very impressed with MMBC's proposal personally, because I don't know if this is going to work. There's so much resistance across the province in various communities to MMBC, and the way it was presented to us in June last year was that it was Ministry of Environment service, a provincial government service, and it turns out it's not. Yeah. It's a non-profit society run out by some big corporate interests in Toronto. Yeah. And so they aren't what they said they were. Yeah. And I don't know that it's going to work. There's not a good market for recyclables right now. There's not a lot of money to be made. The way MMBC are making their money is by charging the producers of the waste, of the recycled waste. They're charging them money. Yeah. They're getting their money at the front end. Yeah. They're not getting much from recycling this stuff.
Yeah. And that's an opportunity for me. I want to do a clarification. I usually don't do this, but a few weeks ago I had Amber Zernhelt on from the city, who's the sustainability manager, I think I called it. And this was on the 19th when the new system kicked in. And so we focused on, okay, what's the mechanics of this? How do you, what do you put into it? And we got going, and I sort of, at my fault, neglected to say, okay, well, there are some downsides to this. And I should have mentioned then, I'm mentioning it now, that if you were one of the skeptics about MMBC, go to the legislature, go to Hansard, and check what the opposition has been saying about MMBC, because there are a lot of questions about it. Okay, that said, I also wanted to get into this thing about waste management. There's these big ads in the paper. Notice of intention to apply for a disposition of Crown land in Gold River, Tassos, and Zabalas. And is this kind of like local garbage dumps?
No, what we're doing in Gold River, Tassos, and Zabalas is shutting down their dumps, their landfills, and making transfer stations up there. And they're applying for Crown land to locate a transfer station, and then they'll ship their garbage to Comox. Huh. Everything is going to Comox.
Yeah. Now,
even Campbell River stuff.
Yeah, that's another aspect too. The Campbell River's dump is actually a regional district facility, and it's getting full. It's got, what, 4 or 5 years left?
It's full.
It's full.
We're looking at maybe building a multi-material wall. We are building a multi-material wall to possibly in the future store a little bit more, but it's like a straight up mountain of stuff now. Yeah. And we're doing the closure plans for Campbell River. It's not going to be, it's a transfer station right now. Yeah. And everything's going to Comox.
Is that a good solution, or is it just the best and only one you got?
It's basically, It's our solid waste management plan that's been approved by the Ministry of Environment.
Yeah.
Ministry of Environment have mandated that we have to close the numerous landfills and put it all into one.
Okay.
Or put it all,
Okay.
handle it better, and we are.
Okay. Time is flying as usual when you're having fun, though. There's been a lot of edgy stuff here. Scotch broom.
No,
Brenda, you're not doing enough on Scotch broom.
I'm not talking about Scotch broom. I want to talk about the neighborhoods.
No, you
and
got to
some
talk
of the
about.
things.
I'm going to talk about Scotch broom is a provincial highways issue. It's not a regional district issue.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's all we need to say
Yes, we
about
do.
that.
Okay, what's it?
Okay, I wanted to, because, boundary extension and all that isn't the only thing that's been happening in Area D, and I wanted to let people in your viewing area know what's been happening. You mentioned the brand new fire truck that's just amazing, and we got a full slate of volunteers down there because we provide them with such good equipment and training facilities. We've upgraded the Black Creek Oyster Bay water system. We're installing ultraviolet disinfection on that system. Area C and D are sharing the C in the Comox Valley, and D are sharing the cost of that. And my total cost was $178,000, which I got completely from a gas tax grant. So there's no tax involved in that. We put a new force main on Terrain Road to improve pressures. In 2015, we'll be installing a new reservoir on Kelland Road, and that's about $1 million project between Black Creek Oyster Bay. We've put in a new fire regulation bylaw for Oyster River, which requires people to apply for permits for burning on their properties if their fire is more than, if it's a bigger fire than a normal fire.
Okay.
And we have had 4 emergency planning sessions that I've attended in May. It was emergency planning week. We had, first we had a whole weekend of learning and sharing information with emergency providers, search and rescue, BC Ambulance, fire departments, and emergency social services. And then that was one weekend. And then we had 2 meetings in Area D at Ocean Grove and at Oyster River for personal emergency preparedness. And everybody, let's take this seriously. We had an earthquake just recently, and get your grab and go bags ready. The Canadian government has a booklet called 72 Hours that you can get all the list of all the things you could possibly need in a grab and go bag, because if we have the big one, and we will, you need to be able to survive for 72 hours. And so I've got my grab and go bag, and I know some people are taking it seriously, but some, when it hits, you're not going to be able to think straight. So get ready before it does.
And the safety conference, is that the same thing or something?
And the Upper Island
with 1 minute.
Upper Island Safety Conference, I opened that the day before yesterday. It's a 3-day event, and it's all the people who work in various jobs across the economy who are on safety committees and who provide safety for their fellow workers to make sure that everybody gets home alive from work.
Wow.
It's a really great conference.
Okay.
Can I say one more thing?
York, you got 1 minute left.
Okay, York subdivision, you are getting a new pump station being installed to increase your water pressures this year. I've allocated $335,000 in this year's budget to supply a pump station along Craig Road. We've already got the site identified where we're putting it, and we got the money, and we're putting in a pump station. So that's going to be something for York.
And there's no time for my question, what did we not deal with, because we've run out of time.
I wish I could say about parks. The Maple Park and the Hagel Park are undergoing some upgrades too.
Well done. Okay. Well, as you can see, there's a lot going on in Area D, and we thank Brenda for coming in and dealing with a lot of it. So thank you, volunteers. Thank you, Shaw. We're available on YouTube at Shaw TV North Island, and we'll see you again soon.